Congressman Sherman, can I just make a quick statement?
Yes.
Okay, he came here with a bunch of combs for sale. Is that correct?
I did indeed.
You did. Is there any kind of a special price for the members, or? No.
No, they're
It's
free
free.
like they've always been. This is the reason why the San Fernando Valley is the best roofed area in America. I've handed out over 100,000 of these. Hey. Hello, I'm Brad Sherman from America's best named city, Sherman Oaks. And it is great to be at the best named Homeowners Association. With me here is Matt Biasia. Matt is in our constituent service office in Sherman Oaks, in the Westcom building at Addison and Van Nuys. Let me put in a little plug for his work. Can you hear me? Now you can hear me. Imagine a federal agency makes a mistake. It could happen. Could affect you. Could be a relative who can't get a visa visiting from a foreign country. Could be a missing Social Security check. You call Matt. He'll work very hard. He solves your problem, and I, Brad Sherman, take the credit. Richard, is that a good system? Excellent. It's an excellent system. For that system to work, you need our phone number. That's why we put it on the comb. And yes, I have noticed that almost everybody in the room has more use for a comb than I do. So please give us a call if we can be of any help. In particular, we want to focus on helping businesses. I'm the chief Democrat on the subcommittee that focuses on promoting exports. So if your business is involved in exporting to foreign countries, whether it's Department of Commerce, OPEC, Exim Bank, give us a call. And in addition, if you're visiting Washington, D.C., give us as much advance notice as possible, and we'll hook you up with the best tours and the best things to see. Now, I realize that I'm just the warm-up act here. We've got an exciting race for supervisor, and thank God we're having an exciting political race and I'm not in it. They've got me scheduled pretty tightly here, so I'm going to have to leave in the next 20 minutes. So I will not be able to hear, and the speech is only 18 minutes. I'm not going to be able to hear the candidates. I'm not going to be able to ask them questions. So I'm going to plant a question or two with you. They're going to tell you how they're going to deal with county government downtown. They've got lots of positions on that, and I'm sure they're going to do a good job. But please ask a question or two about what they're going to do for the Valley. First, will their primary district office be in the Valley, or will it be the satellite district office in the Valley? But much more important than that, will either of these candidates say that they're willing to oppose any tax extension, any tax increase for the MTA unless we're guaranteed a subway through the Sepulveda Pass? Not a study of a subway through the Sepulveda Pass, but a subway through the Sepulveda Pass. Or subway or other grade separated, high capacity, 40-mile-an-hour plus transportation system through the Sepulveda Pass. You cannot build a modern city in Los Angeles unless the Valley is connected to the west side and hopefully all the way to LAX with a grade separated train. They could call it light rail, heavy rail, medium rail. It's got to be grade separated so that it can average 40 miles an hour or more. Now, as to the what's going on in Washington, I'm pleased to report that your United States Congress has improved all the way up to dysfunctional. That is a major improvement. Last year, we flirted with being catastrophic. We shut down the government for 18 days. We talked seriously about dishonoring our national debt, and we reached an agreement not to be catastrophic. We're not going to shut down the government this year. We're not going to dishonor federal bonds this year. And we're not going to get much done this year. I wish I had better news for you, but at least I can say, compared to the catastrophe Congress almost inflicted on this country and partially inflicted on the country last year, this year, as I say, an improvement. We are the world's most prominent dysfunctional parliament.
And what we're trying to do with your office is to get you back August. You're going to be in town at our August meeting to talk about a lot of the issues.
I will. Do you want me to cut it short and go straight to my rousing conclusion?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm not going to talk about foreign policy. I'm not going to tell you the problems with the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. And I'm not even going to talk to you about keeping the conforming loan limit at least at 625,500 so that we can finance homes that are set for sale in the San Fernando Valley and make sure that we stabilize and increase those home values. I'm not going to tell you about any of that.
Third week in August.
Okay. But I am going to call Jules up here. The honorary mayor of America's best named city. I have a 10-minute speech about all the wonderful things you've done. And Richard won't let me deliver it. But what he can't prevent me from doing is giving you a United States flag that flew over the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
Wait a minute, how does he know it actually flew over the Capitol? Come on.
There's always a skeptic. Usually it's a skeptic in the back of the room. Now a skeptic in the front of the room, wondering how Jules could know that that flag actually flew over the Capitol in Washington. People here have seen me at Target. They sell flags there. Well, for those of you who don't just instinctively believe you're United States Congressman, perhaps it's wise that I also brought you, Jules, a certificate of authenticity to restore faith to the doubters and to assure you that I did not pick this up at Target on the way over here. Jules, thank you for everything you've done for us, decade after decade. And I want to go on for another 10 minutes about that, but Richard will not let me do it. Thank you very much. And now on to the main event of the evening.
Well, we got a couple things ahead of time. Thank you very much. Bobby Anderson, quick. And then Marshall.
Very quick. Next week's a big week. Every 2 months, the Metropolitan LA Metro has a meeting where they tell us the schedule for the 405 project. And every time we go, they say, gee, it slipped 2 months from last time, but it won't happen again. Last time they said, it'll never slip again, we absolutely guarantee it. So next Thursday, I'll find out if they're telling the truth or not. It's all supposed to be done by the end of July in Sherman Oaks. Keep your fingers crossed. It'll be in the next newsletter. I'll tell everybody when they now say it's going to be done, but we can keep our fingers crossed that it's July. Thanks.
Okay, Marshall, come up. And then John Eisen, come up here. Quick. And then any candidates that are running for any office other than our main speakers this evening. John?
Fashion Square has approached us about talking about...
Okay, wait a minute. We have to have Matt Epstein leave the room. He's chairman of the South Valley Planning Commission. He has to be out of here. Okay, he's gone. You have the floor.
Forgot what I was going to say. Fashion Square has contacted us about talking about their plans for the existing Fashion Square shopping center. That will happen towards the middle of May, and we're looking forward to seeing what they have in mind. Then Ralph's is open, as you know, and so I'd be interested in what people have to say about it, and it's an interesting, very large store. In addition, where's come around?
Yeah.
Natana Kadanis is here. She and her neighbors are opposing the cell tower project on Burbank, about the 14,000 block, and she wants to talk about that.
So I just want to say thank you for letting me spend a few minutes, 1 minute, talking to you about why this issue concerns you as well. So many of you know that AT&T is aggressively expanding its network to the detriment of Sherman Oaks, and it's expanding all over Sherman Oaks. They've applied for a cell tower installation at Burbank and Kester, and this issue is affecting all the Sherman Oaks residents. It's an ongoing problem. It will continue to be a problem because of the blight and the noise and the potential health risks and the potential property values. So if you care about how these decisions are being made, please attend tomorrow night's Land Use Committee meeting, the Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council, at the Sherman Oaks Library on Moore Park. 14245 Moore Park. We have flyers in the back, and I'm going to be here if you have any questions. I can answer your questions at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Okay, John Isaacs, Berkeley.
First, during the debate, if you have any questions when you're listening to the debate, thank you. During the debate, if you have any questions, fill out a green slip. I'll be standing here on this side, and come around and you can hand it to me, and we may be able to ask your questions. So if you think of something during the debate, feel free to come around and hand them to me. I'd like to introduce Tom Carter. Tom Carter has been for about a decade working on a project. What is the problem?
The problem is we, the people, fail to ask the elected why they do nothing about students not in school, 560,000 in LA County this year.
And what can be done about all of these truants?
I think what needs to be done is each one of us ask our federal and state legislatures, because 7 years ago I asked Zev at a meeting here, what can you do? He said, not my job, go ask LAUSD. Well, LAUSD now can do it. They had 321,000 truants last year, up from about 100. They figured out, they forgot to count kids in grades 1.
Well, what can the school district and the county do about it?
What needs to be done is...
I have an answer to that.
What needs to be done is that in 1975, we passed a law called the Student Attendance Review Board. It's a SAR. They send a letter to mom after 3 truants, 5 and 10. We need to get the schools to send that information to the state or to the county who has a system, and triage so that the county offices know that a child is in the streets, and maybe that boy in Palmdale would be alive today that it was ignored, or Miramonte would have been exposed because it was ignored. So we need to get 21st century tools, i.e. accounting, accountability, send the SARB notification after 3, 9, 12, or 18. 18 is when the state can first ask the question.
All right, thank you.
Okay, candidates running for office, please come up and introduce yourself. This one may be better.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm short, so don't mind me. And I only have a limited amount of time, so I'm almost...
30 seconds.
30 seconds, I'm peeing in my pants already. I'm John Wong, and I'm running for county assessor. I'm one of 12 candidates, and I'm the only real estate broker. I've been a real estate broker for 40 years, and I chair the assessment appeal board, not anymore, but I used to chair the assessment appeal board. I served on it for 18 years, and I chaired it for 5 of those 18 years. I am totally for Proposition 13, and I will fight and advocate that it never be changed, because Sacramento is lying to you. They want to split the roll, and splitting the roll means that commercial and industrial property will be taxed more, and that's going to be passed on to you directly. So don't let them fool you.
Okay, your name again is?
I'm John Wong.
Yay!
I'm also running for Los Angeles County Assessor. I am a lifetime resident of the San Fernando Valley. I'm a criminal prosecutor, and I used to prosecute all the gang murders in this area. That's why I have white hair. I'm running for Los Angeles County Assessor because our current assessor's a crook. I'm endorsed by Steve Cooley, our former district attorney, because I will clean up the assessor's office, and I'm endorsed by the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association because I will protect Proposition 13. My name is John Morris. Please vote for me.
Thank you very much. Okay, any deputies in the room? Any deputies want to stand up and introduce themselves very quickly?
Quick, I promise.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Stephen. I'm running for... No, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name is Stephen Butcher. I work for Assemblymember Adrin Nazarian. We're your state representative for the local area. I know I have 30 seconds. I won't be long. Please let me know any problems, anything going on. We do Caltrans, DMV, EDD, Department of Insurance, any state agency, state organizations. If you have any problems, please find me, give me a call. Richard knows how to get to me. So does Chuck and everyone else on the board. So again, my name is Stephen Butcher, and I work for Assemblymember Adrin Nazarian. Thank you so much.
Women's self-defense.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. All right, she told me. On May 3rd at Sherman Oaks Adult Center from noon to 2, we have a free women's self-defense. We did these last year. We're doing them again throughout our entire district. This one is going to be with LAPD and a detective from Mission Division. So May 3rd, noon to 2 at the Sherman Oaks Adult Center, a free women's self-defense. And we also have an active seniors event at the Bernardi Senior Center, June 18th. And it'll be senior city services, companionship.
Do you have any material over there for us?
I do not, but if you call or email me, we couldn't print enough flyers, I'm sorry. But if you call or email me or get in touch with the board, I'll definitely send you the information. And Elkie knows how to get hold of me, Jules, everyone, so I'll get you information if you need it, believe me.
Thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.
Hi everybody, Tommy Newman from Councilman Tom Labange's office. Two things, thank you for that, I appreciate that in the back. Two things, just wanted to loop everybody in on the number one call that we always get in our office, especially from folks in Sherman Oaks, is that they want speed bumps. Right? Or you hate speed bumps, we get those calls too. But either way, the city hasn't installed any speed bumps since 2009. That program was cut when the recession hit and tax revenues plummeted. So the councilman last week introduced a motion to get the speed bump program back up and running because we have a lot of folks who use our neighborhoods as cut-through streets when they get impatient going north-south. So we're working on that one. We also have heard that the homeless problem on Ventura and on Van Nuys seems to be more intense than it's ever been before. So we have created a homeless working group. We're looking for someone from SOHA. Jules was on it, but as you all know, Jules is on so many boards that I don't know how he has time for anything else. So we're looking. If you're interested in getting involved in the issue, give me a call because we would like to have somebody from SOHA on our coalition. We have a neighborhood council, bid, chamber, active residents, but we're looking for a SOHA person.
Thank you very much. Okay, I see a couple other candidates, I guess, who are shy. Joan Pelko, Steve. Why don't you come up and introduce yourself?
Alice has one more.
Okay, you have a bunch of people on also.
Alice Ross, Councilmember from
Are you running for office?
That's Alice
No, I'm
Ross.
not.
But she should.
Just want to say hello. Everything south of the 101 is mine. If you have concerns, come and see me or call me at the office. Tommy and I work together. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think I know the problem is that nobody wanted to go first. My name is
Shy politicians to be. I don't think so.
My name is Steve Barris. I'm currently your representative at the Los Angeles Community College Board, so I get a chance to work on Valley College. But next year, I've decided to run for City Council, and in my neighborhood, which is right across the street here at Fashion Square. So I hope to be part of a new generation of leadership for Sherman Oaks. I do want to say that I did read the newsletter this week, so I will tell you my position very quickly on Section 245, which is the council override. I will say that in my opinion, it's something that should not be used very often, and the only time that I would use it is if there's actually something wrong with the code. And Section 245 should cause a change of that specific area that's going to be overridden or that's going to be challenged. So outside of that, it's not something I'll use. It's not something I wish to do. I think we should do planning in a comprehensive way that covers all issues. But Section 245 is not something I think is very well done right now, and I think it needs some.
And for those people who don't know what he's talking about, you don't get the newsletter, you don't belong to the association, get the heck out of here. No, I'm sorry. You need to join the association. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. My name is Teddy Davis. I grew up going to school right here in Sherman Oaks. I'm now running for LA City Council. It would be an honor to represent each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
John, who's next? Come on, we're running out of time. We have to be out by midnight. No, come on. Who are you?
Hello everyone, I'm Joan Pellico, and I too am running for City Council District 4 once Councilmember Tom LaBonge terms out. And we are very grateful to Councilmember Tom LaBonge for all his work. I have lived in Sherman Oaks for 26 years, and the last meeting I was at was my 100th at the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association. Thank you. Oh, happy Passover and happy Easter.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Sheila Urani. I'm also running for the council office for District 4, formerly the Director of Special Projects for the councilman. I'm serving on the Neighborhood Council at Hollywood United, as well as I'm the HOA President for Lake Hollywood Estates. A number of other things. I don't want to waste your time. The best thing to do is go to my website at SheilaUrani.com. You can learn more. Once again, happy Easter and happy Passover. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think we're now going to turn the meeting over to Dave Bryan. Hopefully you know Dave Bryan. He has been how long have you been at Channel 2 or 9?
A lot longer than I'm going to admit.
Okay, we won't ask you the question. He is the political reporter for Channel 2 and Channel 9. He's going to be the moderator this evening. He's going to get both your questions answered and his own questions answered, because we want to know the difference between these two candidates, because we need to make a decision on June 3rd. We're also inviting the other candidates to attend our meeting in May so they can also explain their stands on the issues. With that, I'd like to have the candidates come forward. And John, have someone flip the coin to see who goes first? Okay. Actually, what we're going to do, can you take that? We're going to share a mic between the two of you. Then that way you can't talk over each other.
Hi, Richard. Hi. So why am I holding it?
Because you're going to bring it around.
Okay.
So if you could bring it around here so we can put it in the middle.
Put it in the middle between the two of us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Richard. If you insist.
No.
Let's see who wins that battle.
There is no battle. We're ballot mates. Have we decided that, Bobby?
Okay, and Bob Anderson right here has two signs that he is going to come at the appropriate time. One that says 15 seconds and the other one that says stop. And he'll be controlling everything that goes on. Thank you.
Richard, thank you very much, and thanks to everyone for coming out tonight. We want to get right to the debate, but we got just a couple of quick housekeeping items. First, John Eisen is going to talk about what the order of this debate will be tonight, and then I'm going to introduce the candidates, and away we go. John?
Thank you. We're going to have opening statements. After the opening statements, Dave is going to ask questions of the candidates. During this segment, each of the candidates will have an opportunity to ask 2 questions of the other. Then we will have the questions, your questions, that are excellent here. And finally, the candidates will have a closing statement. And beyond that, the candidates will then stay up here and you'll be able to come forward and talk to them one-on-one. Thank you.
Okay, so let me introduce the candidates. I'm sure most of you know who they are, but let me just give you a little bit of background so we'll have something, the reference point here. Sheila Kuehl in 2008 turned out of the California legislature after serving 8 years in the state Senate and 4 years in the state Assembly. She became the founding director of the Public Policy Institute at Santa Monica College, and in 2012 She was the Regents Professor at the School of Public Affairs, Graduate School of Public Policy at UCLA. And now, of course, she's running for LA County Supervisor. Bobby Shriver, the gentleman next to Ms. Kuehl, worked as a reporter, and in fact reported for the LA Herald Examiner. But he later came to his senses and went to law school. Shriver is the co-founder and chairman of DATA, which is an organization that deals with issues like debt, AIDS, trade, with reference to Africa. Also co-founder and chairman of RED, another organization which he co-founded with Bono from the band U2. That is an agency that lobbies governments on issues of debt, AIDS, and trade policies in Africa. He was elected to the Santa Monica City Council in 2004 and served 8 years on the council, spearheading new approaches to reduce homelessness. All right, the first thing we're going to do then is hear opening statements from both candidates. And Ms. Kuehl, if you'll go first, we'll get things underway.
Let's do it.
Alphabetical order, I tell.
Exactly.
Thank you. Ready, timer? Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here. As Dave told you, I represented this area in the State Assembly for 6 years, actually, and the State Senate for 8 years, including much of the San Fernando Valley. In the Assembly, the San Fernando Valley portion west of the 405, and in the Senate, the San Fernando Valley between Universal City and Westlake Village. My district office was in the San Fernando Valley. I'm trying to answer Brad's questions. I was the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee in the Senate, the chair of Natural Resources and Water Committee in the Senate, chair of Judiciary Committee in the Assembly, Speaker Pro Tem, and perhaps most importantly, served on the Budget and the Appropriations Committees most of the time that I was there. I'm running for the Board of Supervisors because I don't know if any of you has ever lost a job or been fired. Be brave. Anybody ever lost a job or been fired or been forced to retire or I'll keep going until I get all of you. Well, that's what term limits is like. Just after 14 years, when I had learned so much about the very things that the county does, which is very different from cities, because as you know, because you're reading the paper every day, the county has responsibility for health care, mental health, public health, foster kids, juvenile justice, the sheriff and the jails, transportation, environmental protection, water quality, water cleanup. I haven't even gotten started. I mean, there are so many things that the county, 5 Board of Supervisors are responsible for, exactly the things that I learned so much about when I was serving you in the state legislature. So I want to use that knowledge and continue to work very hard to make the county better. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I raised my hand on the "Have you been fired?" And I just want to quickly explain. I was fired from the Chicago Daily News newspaper where I was working just after I got out of college. But it was the luckiest day of my life because I sent my clippings to a bunch of newspapers. I got 2 offers, one in Miami and one in LA. This is 1977. I went to Miami, looked around. I came to LA, looked around, I took the job in LA. So had I not been fired from the newspaper in Chicago, who knows where I would have ended up. But I'm thrilled to be here. I've been here 25 years. I met my wife here, I have my kids here, and I've had a tremendous time serving in local office. I've been a problem solver in my career. I've tried to address things that people told me couldn't be done. For example, as the introduction mentioned, when I started working HIV/AIDS, there were about 45,000 people in Africa had the medicine you have to take to stay alive. People told me and others that we couldn't get that out to everybody. There were about 7 million people. They were wrong. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of bipartisan negotiation, but today about 7 million people have those medicines are alive because of you all, the taxpayers of America, who are financing that. Second thing I would mention to you, when I got elected in Santa Monica, there were some problems there that were pretty intractable. One of them was that the beach underneath our pier was the most polluted beach in the state. people were getting sick when they swam there. So I thought, this is something that's got to be fixed. None of us in California want to get sick when we swim, or our kids to get sick when they swim. We put a plan together. We put a storm drain there, and that beach has now been cleaned up pretty well. It has some challenges from time to time. The third, oh my gosh, 15 seconds. So I congratulate everyone on coming out. I feel very comfortable in this room. I've been to a million local political organizations like this. I salute Richard and others for organizing this, and I look forward to our discussion.
When I read the questions, a lot of my questions are questions that you have asked. And so when I read the question, I'll read the name of someone who asked the question from the audience. And if you want to stand up, please feel free to do so, because there is a lot of overlap. You have 45 seconds for these questions, which means you've got to get right to the point.
Oh my God.
Because these are tough questions, and a lot of them, and if it requires more, we'll give you some more. But we want to try to stay, because we have a lot of important things to talk about. At the top of the list, transportation. And Ron Ziff asked a question about transportation. There's Ron, thank you very much. 1.4 million people live in this district, 600,000 car trips a day, as Ron pointed out, between the Valley and West LA. That cause, obviously, huge traffic jams. Some days the 405 feels like the night of the living dead. But you know, the traffic jams go on and on. Metro has a train plan for 25 years from now, which some of us probably won't live long enough to see. Speaking of myself primarily. What are you going to do to get relief sooner for people here in the San Fernando Valley that spend hours of their day, every day, going back and forth? Mr. Shriver?
I heard a great idea when I was out at CSUN, which we did in Santa Monica. The CSUN students have not been able to get a deal with Metro to ride the bus free. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But we do that in Santa Monica. All the students at Santa Monica City College ride the bus for free. That relieved a tremendous amount of traffic in the city. It cost the college very little money on a per capita basis, and made the students thrilled that they could ride the bus any line, anytime. I think you have to look in the near term, and I take it your question is about the near term. You have to look for these sensible, progressive, smart, problem-solving ideas that don't require a lot of new money, don't require a lot of new construction on the 405.
Ms. Huell?
Thank you, Dave. Did you know there is no bus that goes on the 405 from the Valley to the west side? Yes. So that's the first thing I would do. While we're talking about what Brad was talking about, which I totally favor, and if you don't believe me, it's actually on the first page of my website, to have a train, a light rail, from the Valley to LAX. But in the meantime, how about a bus down the 405? Doesn't take any more construction. Now, the problem is the bus gets stuck in traffic as well. Or it has to go down Sepulveda, right? Because it needs to stop at, you know, people with Bobby Shriver buttons. I think it's fine if you want to heckle me, but I'll just keep talking. So the two things we need really are bus transportation and then the light rail.
So this question is so important, we have part two. And if Mr. Sherman is here in the room, he can stand up. This was his question, suggested earlier. The question is, would you oppose a Metro tax increase unless a substantial portion of the funding went to actually building the subway through the Sepulveda Pass? Ms. Huell, you go first this time.
I would, and again, that's on my website. If you go on the very front page, I've got a paper about the Valley, and that's one of the main things. The Valley has voted over the years to tax themselves for transportation and hasn't really gotten its fair share. And so I would oppose it, and I've already told the people putting it together for the extension of Measure R. And I really want the extension of Measure R to pass because it also will be building the Purple Line past the museum, down Wilshire, a very important cultural area. I really wanted to pass, but I don't blame the Valley for saying, this time, I really want something for us as well. And I think actually we can have both.
Mr. Shriver.
I think this is a very important idea. It would involve a lot of construction around the 405, and I'm not sure what people's aptitude appetite for that might be now. It's also a $10 billion project by most estimates, and most of the funding in any new measure would be consumed by that one project. So I'm not sure that if you put that one project into the new measure, whether the measure would pass, it needs to pass on a county-wide basis. I'm also not sure, and I'd be very interested afterward to hear from you all, whether there are other matters that are not $10 billion matters that you might be a little bit more interested in doing in the near term that might contribute to more mobility in the near term. The other point about that underground thing is that it has to be a public-private partnership for the financing to be successful, and putting that kind of thing together, I'm sorry, I have some experience.
So, Mr. Shriver, you're not sure, and Ms. Kuehl, did you say yes, you would oppose a tax increase unless some of the money went to building that SOHA? Yes, okay. All right, let's move on. This question is going to sound a little off the wall, but hopefully you'll find out where we're coming from in just a minute. There's a movement in Santa Monica to close down or sharply downsize the Santa Monica airport. Do you support that movement, Mr. Shriver?
It's a real safety movement. So I think the heavy jets, what we tried to work on when I was on the council, the heavy jets, because the end of the runway is about 20 feet from private houses, we tried to move those heavy jets down to LAX. We were unsuccessful in doing that with the FAA. I think there are arguments on both sides of this. I think a 250-acre piece of land there presents some interesting opportunities for open space. If the community could come together around that, it's a contentious issue. I'm very eager to see the vote when that comes in front of the voters. I'm very interested in having issues like that decided at the local level. And I have tried to follow and talking to my friends in Santa Monica, their thinking when I was on the council.
Well, when I was representing this part of the valley in the state government, we had an issue about the Van Nuys Airport and the noise. And we tried to do everything we could and work with the federal government to keep the larger planes from being there, to keep the flight pattern different. Now we have the same issue in Santa Monica. I live in Sunset Park in Santa Monica, and the planes go right over my house all the time. It isn't that I didn't understand it before, but I'm very sympathetic. I frankly don't think we need that local airport in Santa Monica. I don't think it really serves our citizenry there. I would really like to see it be a park, be an extension of Santa Monica College. There are art galleries there now. There are a lot of better uses for it, I think, and I have told the people in Santa Monica that I'm with them to work as hard as we can to see if we can't do something else with that property.
Well, what's interesting about this, I think, is that it's an issue that in some respects may pit Santa Monica against the San Fernando Valley. Because if that airport closes, many experts believe that traffic, or a large portion of it, will wind up at Van Nuys Airport, which you just mentioned. So if that's the case, what are you going to do about it as a supervisor?
I would rather see the planes diverted more to Burbank, LAX, and Ontario, which handles larger traffic and could handle the smaller traffic as well. I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion that if you close Santa Monica, you're impacting Van Nuys. And I'm kind of tired of them playing off our neighborhoods against each other, like you shouldn't be for my neighborhood, closing their airport, oh, so I won't be for yours. I think it's important for us to work together because these neighborhoods are both impacted, and I would rather see the traffic diverted to the larger airports.
Mr. Shriver.
I think this is a really tough question, and to sincerely answer it, I think you have to really try to get the heavy aircraft to go to LAX, but you have to acknowledge that people have a choice when they get on these aircraft. They can tell the aircraft where to land. So it's inevitable, I think, that a lot of the large aircraft, which the FAA won't let you send to a particular, I know this because I've been in the litigation with the FAA over these issues, they won't let you direct the large aircraft. So I do think it's a pretty certain thing that many of the large aircraft would end up in Van Nuys if the Santa Monica airport is closed. I think there are mitigations that can be done. I think the county can do a lot of those, working with your representatives in city government and Congressman Sherman and the federal government. But I can tell you, after spending 8 years trying to sue the FAA on behalf of the city of Santa Monica and millions of dollars, it's very tough, I'm sorry, to beat the FAA in a lawsuit on these matters.
Mr. Shriver, do you have a question for Ms. Kuehl?
Sure. I think Sheila and I we've been at a bunch of these forums, and one of the things I think that principally distinguishes us is our view of the role of the county government. Sheila has said many times that she feels that the county government, and correctly interprets the law, that the county government is a creation of the state government, and that the principal job of the county is to execute the policies and principles decided by the state for all the counties in the state to execute. I, coming from local government, a little more feel that programs and policies should be decided at the local level and executed at the local level. So my question is to her, do you think that the principal function of the county should be to implement the state policies, or do you see some local role there?
Well, I think the answer is both. How long, do we only have 45 seconds for this as well?
90 seconds.
Oh, all right.
Really spread out.
I think the answer is both. We don't have really a choice, Bobby, about implementing the state policy because of the $26 billion budget, as you know, a huge percentage of it is state money. They make the rules, they give the money, and federal money, they make the rules, they give the money. Healthcare, mental health, public health, foster kids, juvenile justice, transportation, that money comes to the county and the county is then ordered to carry it out. But there is some play in there, I think, in terms of how you expend the money for juvenile justice, how you expend the money for the foster care system. That's why the newspapers keep beating up the supervisors about doing something better, doing something different. And I would do something different, and I hope it would be better, in the foster care system, and certainly in the implementation of the healthcare system. I think local government gives very good experience in terms of land use and zoning and development, that kind of thing, and the county does that fairly in the non-incorporated areas. But for the safety net, for all the rest of it, I really do believe that experience with those issues is a very good preparation for being a county supervisor.
Ms. Jewell, do you have a question for Mr. Schreiber?
I do, and in case you're thinking that we're thinking these up, we were told that we were going to have questions for each other. Bobby, could you tell us 3 things that you have done for and in the San Fernando Valley?
When I worked as a law clerk, I did a lot. I came every night over the 405 to visit my girlfriend in Sherman Oaks.
Congratulations.
I frequently drove her and her roommate to breakfast on Ventura Boulevard. I wouldn't have told my mother that, but she's not with us anymore, so I can say that I did take them to breakfast. If my mother were alive, I would have said I took them to lunch or dinner. And then, of course, I went home to my apartment. Thank you, that's the Catholic vote, speaking up for my mom. Maybe we should go to confession now. But I'm afraid of the penance I would be assigned. Pardon me? I know. Maybe there's a priest around who could hear the confession real quick. You know anybody? No, I have not, as Sheila's question obviously points to the fact that she has represented you and worked in the Valley in her capacity as a state legislator, which I have not done. I have been a problem solver, and I think to address problems that people tell you cannot be solved is something that, as I've traveled around the Valley, and I've been all over the Valley in the last several months, people want problems solved, particularly the ones that people tell them can't be solved. And those are the ones I'm going to solve.
I have related but slightly different questions for the two of you now. Mr. Schreiber, I'd like to ask you first. You told the LA Times in an article that I think was in today's paper that you're tired of news stories tagging you as the nephew of President John F. Kennedy, and urged that they look at your record of achievement. And my question is, what did you accomplish during 8 years on the Santa Monica City Council? I mean, what achievements? Because the article mentioned that you worked on homeless problems, but didn't go beyond that. Is there more than that?
Yes, I don't think I'd like to characterize it that I have not been attacked for being John Kennedy's nephew. I have been acknowledged as John Kennedy's nephew, and what I was suggesting to the writer is that after a certain period of time of being characterized that way, it would be thrilling to me if the press would characterize me as a former mayor of Santa Monica, the founder of Red and One, and various other things that I've done. I fully appreciate and love my family. I believe in the record of my uncles is amazing, and my mom in the Special Olympics is incredible. But the number one thing I focused on in Santa Monica was homelessness and veteran homelessness, and I could feel the stop card coming, and I hope I'm going to be able to discuss the work we did in homelessness with Ed Edelman, I might add, Zeb's predecessor in this job, to make homelessness and veteran homelessness, particularly women veterans homelessness, better.
And Ms. Kuehl, on your side, I mean, you spent 12 years, right, in the legislature? 14, sorry. 14 years. What did you do when you were there that changed things in the state of California or made things better for people here in the Southland?
Well, I'm very proud to say I had over 170 bills signed into law by 3 different governors, 2 of them Republicans and 1 a Democrat. The only paid family leave law in the United States. The only hospital safety law that set actual numerical ratios of how many patients a nurse could be assigned to and no more. A number of anti-discrimination laws barring discrimination on the basis of gender and disability in the workplace and sexual orientation in education. A law that said if you're going to build a great big development, you better identify where the water's coming from before you're going to get a permit and be allowed to build it. And my time is almost up, and that's 4, and I'll tell you about the other 166 when you come up and talk to me.
Ms. Kuehl, I'm going to start with you this time. Should the Board of Supervisors have done more to prevent the atrocious scandals in the LA County Sheriff's Department? Could the board have done more? Should the board have done more? And should there be, if not, should there be changes made so the board can do more?
I think the board could always do more, even if it's just a bully pulpit. I'm thinking about bully pulpit because I'm reading the wonderful book about Teddy Roosevelt and the press, actually. What the supervisors can do is they could institute a Citizens Oversight Commission. They could demand that the Inspector General get better information about which deputies are being investigated and order the County Council to provide the information. They can sequester some of the budget that goes to the sheriff under their own CEO and require the sheriff to bill for the budget so that they know that the money's going for what they put in the line items, because once it goes to the sheriff can do anything with the money they want. What they cannot do is tell the sheriff what to do because he's independently elected. But I would certainly do everything I could within the law.
Mr. Schreiber.
Yeah, I think this is a deeply outrageous situation. There are 19 people who have been indicted by the federal government who are police officers. This has got to stop. So the answer is yes, they should have done more, and they should have done a lot more. One of the most important things they should have done, and I hope I will get the chance to do, is to take as many of the mentally ill prisoners who are suffering in this jail out of jail and put them into psychiatric care facilities. This is an abomination in the 21st century. We've learned a lot about mental illness. We have to put those people not in a new jail, which is currently proposed to keep them in a jail, but to put them into treatment. And these are secure treatment facilities with psychiatric people in them, not police. That's a change that needs to happen right away and needs to get into our discussion, our public debate about mental illness.
I need to make an announcement now before we go on. An aide to Congressman Sherman has lost a wallet, so if anyone has found it, please bring it up to the front desk.
Is there a politician in the house?
Let's talk about campaign finance. And we did get a couple of questions on this. Janet Couples wrote a question on it, and I think Emil Lawton also did. So if you want to stand up, please do so. Anyway, thank you for the question. It seems to me that this is one area where there is a big difference between the two of you. Mr. Schreiber, you recently have been critical of the limitations in this particular campaign. So I want to ask you what your position is on this, and Ms. Kuehl will talk to you next about it.
My position is simple. No one has given my campaign more than $300. Period. I have given my campaign some of my money, but no one will give more than $300 from now until the election. I think that's a significant difference. Sheila's taken larger donations, including one from $75,000, others in multiples of $5,000 and $10,000, and that's a significant difference. The thing the Times reported, I think a little bit erroneously, was that I favored redoing the system for myself. I don't. I favor a thing that encourages candidates to come forward. There haven't been competitive races for these seats in a long time. Part of the reason for that is that so-called regular candidates can't get financing under the current system. And that's proven out by the